Pablo Torre, Kevin Blackstone, David Ennis Jr., Mina Kimes. Pendulumically speaking, an NBA second round for the ages. What's real? What's still left to be decided? Also 20 points, 3 assists, 10 turnovers, the debut of Caitlin Clark. And happy NFL schedule day. We're tracking the schedule for tonight's reveal. Let's go around the horn. Look at that thing.
Just show me where the burgundy and gold is.
Getting a preview looking at that.
That was the condensed view, by the way. That's what it said on the spreadsheet. Is there any other time? So the pregame MVP ceremony, and then 40, 13, 7, and 0 turnovers for Jokic.
I mean, I had open lane, I'm a freak of nature, and why not to show my athleticism?
I want to talk about the defense on Jokic, whether you see it as a Gobert failure. He's the defensive player of the year, and he's allowing that 40, 13, and 7. Or a Wolves game plan failure in general, or just the mark of inevitability. You're playing against a 3-time MVP. David Dennis Jr., around the horn to you. And can the Wolves come back from it?
This is Nikola Jokic reminding us that sometimes you got to pop out and show people, and that's exactly what he did. Rudy Gobert has actually been pretty good defensively against him for the first part of this series, was holding him to 40% shooting when he was the primary defender. But last night, Jokic put together 70 points, either scored or assisted on, with no turnovers. That has never happened in the playoffs since they've started recording turnovers. And when Gobert was his primary defender, he was 8 for 9. He eviscerated him and topped that off with a third quarter that was maybe the best quarter we've seen from Jokic. Now, can the Timberwolves come back from this? Depends on how you look at it. They have some answers here, and it all is on the shoulders of Karl Anthony Towns. When he is the primary Jokic defender and Gobert is on the baseline, the Nuggets are 5 for 18 defensively, and offensively, they're doubling Anthony Edwards more than they have all series, which makes him the primary offensive person. So if he steps up, then they have a shot here. The problem is it's Karl Anthony Towns having to step up and be poised and aggressive, and we have not seen that so far in his career in the playoffs, so I don't have faith in him to do that.
Mina, on the micro of last night, Jokic, the game he had, and where the defense against him factors in.
Yeah, you know what's so wild? He was, 8 for 9 against Gobert, and yet I don't think Rudy Gobert played a bad game. Anthony Edwards afterwards said defense wasn't actually a weakness. Sometimes the MVP just MVPs. I'm paraphrasing, but he's absolutely right. This was much more about Jokic solving the T-Wolves defense like he was solving a Rubik's Cube, as he so often does. He is simply the best player in the NBA, and Gobert couldn't do anything about it. I thought he was pretty good. As far as whether the Wolves can come back in this one, I think it's going to have a lot to do with Mike Conley's availability. You saw in this game how much they need him as a facilitator. The offense looked really disjointed without him. You don't want Karl Anthony Towns as a ball handler as much as he was. That, to me, will be the biggest factor going forward.
Pablo Torre.
Yeah, and the Wolves have been trying different things. They have been making adjustments. This adjustment was, hey, we're going to play this guy straight up with the Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to stay back and let, Jokic be the source of our problems. It turns out that Nikola Jokic is so creative as a player, having the greatest quarter of his career, by the way, that third quarter, Tony. 3 MVPs in 4 years. The best quarter of his life was the third quarter. You can't do anything about that. And I'm not here to make excuses for Rudy Gobert. I'm just here to say that he's done that to Anthony Davis, to Bam Adebayo. He would have done it to everybody. And so the Nuggets, of course, have adjustments for those adjustments. Now, what do you do if you're the Wolves? You hope that Anthony Edwards actually does more than a little Michael Jordan karaoke, maybe give us 50 next time. And yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, hey, could you also do a little bit of Scottie Pippen? Could you just have these guys play out of their minds to counter the fact that they have puzzle solvers and solutions in every possible way on the other side of this?
And now, Professor Kevin Blackstone, I'm so happy to see you here today, Kevin, because the last time we saw you, you said this series was over. And the pendulum has swung so wildly in this entire playoffs. But, of course, with the Nuggets here, on the micro, is Minnesota playing Jokic the best they can, the right way? Is there any move?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say my prediction the other week was not incorrect. It's just that the game has turned out to go the other way because the Denver
Very
Nuggets are that much better, and I underestimated just how good the Joker is on offense because he is absolutely marvelous. And you can see that he took it personally when they put the Defensive Player of the Year on him just to go at him. There's nothing else the Wolves can do defensively with that player. I mean, he's now shooting about 60% from the field. He's averaging about 10 assists, and this is the last 3 games over the wins. I don't know what he is. It's like plus 18 now on the plus minus, where before in the first 2 games he was negative. He's doing everything just marvelously. Now, what can the Wolves do? They can't have Anthony Edwards go 5 for 15. I mean, he said it a couple games ago when he had an off game. He said he's got to bring the energy. He's got to. But you can look at him and see he's been dragging that team like a piano at some point, and he's just tired. So they need him to be back to scoring 30 points a game. They can't do it with what he's doing.
Dragging that team like a piano. All right. Spoken like a true jazz man. We've been Horn. We'll move on. Knicks 121, Pacers 91. The pendulum swings again. A beatdown. And now a question. Why not pendulum swing it this way? Have the minutes caught up to the Pacers? Plot twist. Tyrese Halliburton has been kind of light on, light off in this series. Brunson's vertical on his jumper. It was being tracked by some when he had the terrible Game 4. Game 5 was back up another 1.5 inches. And then Dante's Inferno, and then 7th Avenue. You have people here who will amputate body parts for Brunson and DiVincenzo and Hart right now. Pablo Torre, how do you make sense of this series takeaway from last night?
Yeah, the most likable team in not more than recent memory, since 1971, I guess, Tony, in New York Knicks history. Happens to be the toughest team that I can recall. And look, I'm going to say some things that make me sound like I'm doing some Tom Thibodeau karaoke. But you have in Jalen Brunson, a guy who'll score 40 for you. Yes, he's the one-on-one threat the Knicks need to win these games. But everybody else around this team actually embodies the concept of grit. What does this mean? It means you out-rebound the other team by 24 as a team. What does it mean? It means that you don't give up on the ball ever. It means that you're going to wear your ligaments down to the bone as your coach would like you to do. And they do it. And the crowd loves it. And so it is the perfect marriage of style and substance, even if it feels like the wheels are about to fall off. The Pacers, by contrast, just don't have any of the qualities I mentioned. They seem psychologically non-resilient. They break apart, and the Knicks just feast on the fears that they can sense by the end of these games.
All right, Pablo, a bone to pick. You said the 71 Knicks. I'll give you that. Maybe this is the most likable 2094. 71 wasn't the team that won the finals. It's 70 and 73. The king of Kips Bay better know his history. Let's go to Mina Kimes here. Takeaway from last night.
We already knew Jalen Brunson was the best player in the series. That's no surprise. What was surprising, although some of the performance in the regular season should have foreshadowed this, was the impact that going ultra small with Miles McBride in the lineup would have on Brunson, who was very aggressively doubled all game by Indiana. But the games they were able to run with McBride, the screening opened up space for Brunson to go to work, in addition to, of course, the rebounding that we saw from Josh Hart and Hartenstein. These Knicks, to me, look like the better team. And it would be so alarming, too, from Indiana's perspective, is that they went ultra small. They shot poorly from 3, the Knicks, and they still won. That does not bode well for Indiana.
David Dennis Jr., takeaway from last night?
The takeaway is that we have 2 teams that are in their own little bubble of unpredictability. But what you have here is a Knicks team that is hurt, which means they can't really string a couple of great games together. And you have a Pacers team that's young, inexperienced, does not play defense, and they can't string together a couple of great games. So you'll have games like you have couple games ago where the Pacers look like they're going to blow the Knicks out for the rest of the series, and a game like last night where the Knicks look like they're going to blow the Pacers out. So, it's hard to really sort of see where it's going forward, but I do think the Pacers can win Game 6, and it's all about Halliburton. Only 9 shots. That team is 0 for 3 when he doesn't get up 10 baskets.
After the talk he was talking in Game 4. I hear you there on Halliburton. Blackistone after the horn.
Yeah, and the Pacers haven't lost at home, so that bodes well from as well. But Tyrese Halliburton's got to show up. He's got to be consistent. He can't disappear as he has in parts of this series. And, of course, the Knicks are just deeper. I mean, whoever they tap on the shoulder seems to respond. And Hartenstein on the offensive
Knicks are deeper.
glasses, absolutely.
Deeper for a team that is playing 7 players. And, the minutes has become such a joke for all of us on the show because we like negging Frank Isola a little bit. But that was 43 minutes yesterday for Jalen Brunson in a game that was 30 points. I mean, maybe that could have been take off the last 6 to 8 minutes. Live to fight another day. We've been Horn. One more story here. Happy NFL schedule day. Let's go to the big board. Yes! All right. So that's a lot to take in. I recognize that. But I have a question here because now with the release today that Netflix will be getting 2 Christmas Day games, and ESPN Plus is getting a game this year, and Peacock and Amazon Prime and NFL Network like years past, YouTube TV with the Sunday Ticket you know about already. NFL fans will need more than just the traditionals to watch games, every game this year. And that is now seeing it play out in the schedule. Multiple KC games will be streaming only this season. Mina Kimes, how do you consider that all? Net positive, net negative, no real net effect either way?
Yeah, from the business perspective, I'm not surprised. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about, given the fact that the Dolphins-Packers game streamable on Christmas last year got like 26 million.
Of course. I'm not worried about the business perspective. I believe there's money.
Yeah,
I mean the fan perspective.
Well, yeah, well, I think the fan perspective is aligned with the business perspective in that it's clear that fans will stream these games. And we can joke about our parents asking us for passwords or how to use it. I don't know. I borrow my parents' password all the time. So I think that this is simply the way society is going in terms of how we consume media. My concern, Tony, is more so from the players. As we do more games on different days during the week and spread them out, I'm less worried about oversaturating the audience and more about what does this mean for player health, because it does create different issues when you play more games in different countries on different days.
Pablo Torre, to you on the reaction a lot of fans had right here is like, how many streaming services do I need to get now? How much is this going to cost me?
Yeah, the answer to all your questions is money, Tony. As a wise man once said, the fan perspective on this should be, I was promised in the age of streaming that I would pay less for the stuff I want the most. And now all of us collectively find ourselves paying for things that we forget we're paying for because we're paying for so many things. And so are we going to sort of develop new habits because, of course, the NFL is now dispersed across the 4 major broadcast networks and every conceivable streaming service? Yes. Is that a good thing for fans? No. Will we watch it, though? Yes. And that is why these deals are being made. Nothing is more inelastic than demand for the NFL, and the NFL knows it.
Kevin Blackistone, you seem to be shaking your head no.
Well, no, I'm just saying it. I'm just thinking, football is the most addictive sport on our menu. We're going to watch it no matter what, and I think people will make that adjustment, and we're already making those adjustments in the rest of our lives and how we watch other things. I mean, I have several streaming services just to watch specific sports, so this is just something people are going to do.
Yeah, we're in a post-ratings era. It doesn't matter. NFL doesn't care how many people tune in. They've already got the money on the front end from these streaming services, and they do not care how inconvenient it is for us, because the NFL has never showed any care for how inconvenient anything they do is for any of the fans that they have.
But have you ever been in a house that didn't have the streaming service for the game in the moment, and you're like, wait, what? I can't watch this game tonight? You have. We all have been in that. We all don't have Mina's parents giving us the sign-ons.
I would like it, though. Sun Min, share your login.
By yourself, next. Learn from it, move on was part of Caitlin Clark's review of her WNBA debut. The league record for most turnovers in a debut. Not what Clark or the Fever wanted or what yesterday's panel predicted. 10 turnovers. The 20 points came on 5 of 15 shooting. 3 assists came after suffocating defense from Dejanay Carrington. Physical play from one of the league's best Ds. Also, Alyssa Thomas said, you want to talk MVP odds? Boom, triple-double. Suns roll the Fever. After months of debate and wonder, Swoops and Taurasi, the opening arguments for how the transition will go have been cast. Mina, what you buy, what you sell?
I am buying that this was a really bad matchup for Caitlin Clark because, as you said, the Sun have an incredible defense. second in the WNBA in defensive rating last year, behind only the champion Aces. Carrington was fantastic. Alyssa Thomas has been all defense 5 times, or first or second team. So again, this was very challenging for her. It's not entirely surprising that she struggled early on. And I will say, I thought she looked more comfortable as the game went on. But there is a reason why all these WNBA players have been saying, hey, welcome to the league, Rook. It's going to be a lot more physical from here on out.
David Dennis Jr.
I'm buying that this is what we're going to see from Caitlin Clark, at least as she gets adjusted to the WNBA and these wing defenders. We saw that last night, but there's still sights with the Mystics. Ariel Atkins, Natasha Cloud, like she's going to face these great defenders as she goes along, and that frustration is going to be there. But what was great about last night was Aaliyah Boston talking her down, going into halftime, being that mentor, being that, figure for her. I think that their chemistry is going to take this team where it's going to go going forward. But it's going to take her a little while.
I saw
to
that
figure this
exchange too with Boston, and Boston had a tough game herself. 4 points, 6 rebounds, 4 turnovers. But they had that first possession, right, where you're like, oh, here it is. You can see it, the first bucket of the season. Kevin Blackistone, your review of the debut.
Well, I thought it was a good debut in the sense that
even with 10
she did
turnovers.
score. Well, I'm going to say, in the sense that she did score. That's what people think of her as a scorer. She hit a few shots. That was okay. But she's going to get better. As the only panelist here who was at Michael Jordan's first game when he scored 16 points, had 6 assists, about 7 rebounds, something like that. It's all been forgotten. And so this game, those 10 turnovers that you mentioned, will be forgotten because she will begin to shine as the season goes on. And
Okay, but I'm asking you today. I'm not saying you need to make a ruling for all eternity. Pablo Torre, on your review of yesterday's debut.
Yeah, it's worth remembering that the Indiana Fever got to draft Caitlin Clark because they were the worst team in the league. And so this was a bad team against a very good one. Alyssa Thomas, by the way, the career leader in triple doubles. Shout out to her. But yeah, there's going to be, speaking of Michael Jordan, some Jordan rules style defense to Caitlin Clark. Because of course the story is a league asserting itself in the face of somebody who has been hyped to the point of unrealistic expectations, while also being the most exciting player I can remember watching in college basketball on the women's side. So it's going to get better from here, but it's going to be bad for a long time, Toby.
KB, I cut
That's
you
the way it
off.
works
I'll
when
let
you're
you
on a
come back
terrible
in
team.
here for your overall review of the rest of eternity here for Caitlin Clark as a player.
No, I think she'll be fine. I mean, she's the best long-distance shooter we've seen in women's basketball, period, and she will find her stroke in the WNBA.
Next 2 games against the New York Liberty. The finalists last year, though, they don't actually play defense like we saw Connecticut do, or maybe the Aces, as Mina said earlier. So that's remaining on the week. Our week ends right now because we got a PGA championship in our place. So I'll say have a great weekend to Mina Kimes and Kevin Blackistone. And showdown next with David Dennis Jr. and Pablo Torre. David Dennis Jr., Pablo S. Torre, good luck in showdown. Looking for the bigger win in the Stanley Cup playoffs last night. Bruins staving off elimination on the road against Florida. Or the Oilers tying the series up with Vancouver with that late third period goal at home. David Dennis Jr.?
It's simple math. It's the team that has tied up the series as opposed to a team that's trying to come back from a 3-1 deficit. And that's the Oilers, who played their best game of the series so far, behind Picard, protecting the goal, and Picard's dramatic goal at the end of that game.
Pablo?
It's the Bruins because Jeremy Swayman, their goaltender, had predicted that this whole series would go back to Boston. They were up 2-1, 8 seconds left. Reinhart from right in front shoots.
I can't
stoned,
believe that wasn't the
save,
equalizer. 8
great
seconds
win.
to go. That's how you get a point, Pablo Torre. Showdown 2, game 5s tonight. Pivotal in the NBA. Mavs Thunder. That series tied 2-2. Celtics Cavs. Boston can close it out. Pablo, what's the number one thing you're most sure of tonight?
Yeah, I'm keeping a big picture. I'm confident the Celtics are winning this game. You're telling me the Cavs don't have Donovan Mitchell again? I am sorry. It's been nice to see like LeBron sitting courtside at these games. Cool. Not going to be able to watch much for long in Cleveland. I think the Celtics are taking this.
Junior?
I'm sure that OKC Thunder are going to stick to their defensive game plan and just making sure that PJ Washington is the guy to make the shots. He shot 15 more shots than Kyrie Irving in the last 2 games. It didn't work in Game 3. It worked in Game 4. They're going to keep that game plan going.
OKC's defense is what you're most sure of. Okay. I'd like to see it. Let's give a point to David Dennis Jr. We're split going into Showdown 3. Here it is. Fourth inning last night. Astros, Ronel Blanco was ejected after a substance check on his glove. So this happens in the game, but that it happened to an Astro. Let me look at your eyes. Any eyebrows raised here, David Dennis Jr.?
There are 3 things you probably shouldn't do. You probably shouldn't allegedly cheat. You probably shouldn't allegedly cheat for the Astros. And you probably shouldn't allegedly cheat with something that the umpire says is the stickiest substance he's ever seen on a glove. Those are bad metrics.
Pablo?
Yeah, it's the Astros, so of course my eyebrows are both Dwayne Johnson height when I come to this story. But also, Tony, I think the fact that they found some powder in the glove afterwards indicating that it's rosin, indicating that maybe his 2.0-something ERA to start the season may in fact be because of the stickiest stuff that was
And he
out
had the
there.
no-hitter to start
Not
the
a
year.
great look.
You're putting it all
Yes.
into question. How are you, Pablo Torre?
A little sticky, too sticky.
David Dennis Jr. is getting the face.
Pardon me, I've been a little emotional today. Got dad tears going down. My son has graduated from 5th grade today. Shout out to you. But most important, not just as important as that, I want to shout out the teachers who got him there. I want to shout out his teacher, Miss Brown Benton, Miss Lockhart, Dr. McNeely, all the people who helped him, Miss Bunkley, who helped him get to where he is. The teachers are the people who pour their hearts and souls into these kids. All of those students were so happy. Their parents were so proud of them. Shout out to the teachers and shout out to the kids.
Oh, what a great FaceTime, and we love our teachers. And for a present, Uncle Tony is going to give you Mina Kimes' parents' login for Netflix. There we go. We'll see you Monday.